Another good, well, not great day. It was $211, but I'm happy with that. You guys, I ended up trading my Roth IRA. I normally trade in my Roth IRA in January and February because that's when I make my contribution and that's when the cash is sitting in there until I figure out what I want to buy with it. But a few days ago, I ended up freeing up a bunch of cash in that account because I wanted to be prepared for if we take kind of a downturn again. And I want to be able to buy the stocks that I love and hold long term at a bit of a discount. So I decided to go ahead and trade in that account today. And the one thing I like about trading in my Roth IRA is that I end up taking small share size because there's usually not a lot of cash in that account. I also cannot short a stock in that account. And I can't take chances because I don't have margin. The only thing I have is limited margin. And what that is, it's for settlement only. And that means that if I use all the cash on one trade and get out of that trade, so let's say I'm scalping AMD and I get in and get out and I've used all the cash, it instantly puts that cash back in my account. So that at least allows me to just keep trading and trading and trading. So there's a few guardrails there that really helps. And I really liked what happened today because I was selective. I waited for news to pop. I only traded stocks with news, and I traded, not not overly big share size, and a couple $100. That was great. So I might try it again tomorrow. 211.22, not very many stocks, but I'll show you where I got in and why I did. All right, and I want to show you earnings. Now had earnings, a Salesforce, and I want to show you what I did. I actually bought 5 shares a few days ago just to prepare. I didn't know what would happen, and I always will buy like 5 to 10 shares of something to keep it on my radar to remind me that that's something that I want to look at. So I had 5 shares sitting there, and pre-market I got in and added to that for just 25. And I'm going to show you what happened with them at earnings and how they dumped and why I got out early. All right, let's go take a look. Wow, there were some great earnings today, and I didn't play any of them. I played now, and I'll show you, but I played it pre-market and during the open, and I'll show you that. And I'm really glad I sold when I did, and I'll show you why. Let's start off. I'll go through this real quick. They're only simple, a couple simple scalps on each one. Again, I was trading in that Roth IRA, so I kept it simple. AMD is the only one that I went high share size on, only because I traded a lot and I felt comfortable, and it was just running here. So, and it wasn't running on news. It just, it's been running for the last few days. So I just saw this pattern forming right here where it comes up, pulls back slightly, comes up, pulls back slightly, up, pulls back slightly. So I just caught it right here perfectly. And it was just $56.05. Nothing big. I was really aiming for just quick scalps, just, 10 cents, whatever, 10, 15 cents. Nothing too crazy. It's my Roth IRA, and I haven't traded my Roth IRA since January or February. So I just wanted to kind of ease into it today. So Google, let's move on. And Google, oh God, Google had so much news pre-market. I need to stop trading these large caps pre-market because it's rare that they pan out for me. It's not that they sell off. They tend to sell off at the open, which this one did right at the open, but they go up and they move around on low volume, and the spread is usually higher. So I've got to stop doing this. It's bit me before on Palantir, and I know that, so I was taking a chance here. So if you go back to Google News, all morning it was nonstop of companies teaming up with them or what have you, but it was company after company after company. They were just pumping out the press releases. And what happened was we caught this big move right here. It was huge, from 33 to $35. And it got a little funky right in this area. And then I got in, it pumped out a couple more news headlines. And I thought, no way, this thing's going to go. Because every now and then, these companies, when they keep doing that, they'll pump up big in the pre-market. So I thought, okay, I'll just get in. I got in right here at 335.75, and look what it did. It just died out and no volume. I mean, there's like, it was gapping up and down, and you can see the volume down here, just nothing. But I kept holding on because it didn't dump on me. Well, over here it dumped down. Now, I didn't care that it dumped down. The news was so good and it was nonstop coming out even after the open. So I just held on,
And I own Google in a lot of other accounts, and it's my Roth IRA. So I thought, whatever, I'll hold it for a few days. Don't matter. Well, it ended up coming back up, and I ended up getting out at 335.93 for just $9 because I realized this was not the play to be on. It was all the other companies that had signed deals with them. So I went and moved on from there. And then YCBD, I think a lot of people probably traded this. It was that Trump news, all the marijuana stocks were going. And all I did, it was one quick scalp. And you guys, this was bad. It happened so fast that I didn't even mark levels. And that's not good. You know that because I've said it. I really need to mark levels. So it came up. Look at this huge wick. Comes down. And as it pulls up, I got in here for some dumbass reason. It passed this dollar mark and I got in at 101.99, basically 102. And I just thought if we hit a buck, we're going because that does tend to happen. If we're in a penny stock and it goes to a buck, it's going to run. So it did. I got in at 102, which was a little stupid. I should have waited till at least after this candle, but I got in and it ran up and I got out at 108. So I got out just about right here is when I got out. And I just felt like I was pushing it is all. And I saw 30 bucks. I said, I'll forget it. I'm out. And then look, it just dumped. So I just timed it perfectly. I maybe lost a few cents there by not waiting to get out. I actually scaled out. I sold 250 shares at $1.05 and 250 at $1.10. So at least I scaled out there and I was just a few pennies away from where it just dumped. So that was a good play. And I struggle with these pre-markets. So that was great. All right, AVGO, they had news with Google. So I decided to start focusing on the companies that had news with Google. I came over here. I did go kind of high share size up here. I started with 50 shares and I actually lost a little bit right here. I got in at 413.80 and lost about 10, 11 cents right there. And AVGO, I believe there was a high spread. There usually is on this one on Broadcom. So it comes up, but it's kind of chaotic. There's a lot of wicks you can see, and I just left. And then I can't have red over here. It really irritates me, and especially I didn't want to have red in my Roth IRA. So I just decided to come back at it at 9 o'clock, and it was this nice smooth move I saw right here, and I just decided to get in and I just scalped it up to here and I ended up getting $71.78. So I know that you can do this thing where you don't give up, but you keep going more red and more red and more red, and that's bad. But I like it when I don't give up, but I hunker down and I look for good price action and I get in based on price action. And even all the volume bars here, I got to get a hand tool. All the volume bars had buyers at the very top. So that's what made me really comfortable. Look at this. From this point on, we just had buyers at the top and then we got this high volume right here and I got out. Right when I saw this high volume, I just said I'm out. And then it did come down again. So it's it's okay to come back, I feel, to try to get your red and turn it to green, but you got to make sure you're not spiraling down. So since it was one quick scalp that I was red, I felt okay coming back. However, if I would have taken a few more reds here, I probably would have just stopped. All right, MU's the last one before we get to now. And then we can look at that earnings on now. All right, it was just two quick scalps here. I didn't do too well. I got in at 79.16 and got out less at 78.97. So I lost some here. And again, I can't be red, but this is MU. I struggle with MU. It's why I was doing 50 shares. So what I did is I came back when I was trying to make up for my reds because I don't want to show you guys that I have red trades, I guess. I just don't want you making fun of me in the comments. And so, you know what? That has made me a really damn good trader for being worried about getting all, people getting snarky in the comments. So, I decided I was better than that red and I'd come back and pull my head out of my ass, and I did. I made a few pennies here and I actually scaled out on that one. And then I made a few pennies here for just $5.53, but hey, I'm green and it's MU. I struggle every single day. You guys know I always want to take one trade on MU and I got to make it green, and I struggle with that. All right, let's go to now. This was my favorite one. I really called it well. So I'm going to show you where I got in 20 shares right at the pre-market. So I knew they had earnings today. I had bought 5 shares a while back and I was prepared. So I decided to get in early because I went through the daily chart and I noticed that, and I went through the daily chart and noticed that now has had good earnings a lot. So then I went to earningshub.com. Earningshub.com is the one that I use to do more of my research on earnings. And I want to end up doing a video on that as well eventually. Now has had 17 earnings in a row positive where they beat expectations. So I felt pretty comfortable getting in pre-market and holding it. The problem is it went up so much during the day. It went up $3. And for this company, that was a lot. And I've looked back and that is quite a bit. So I was getting kind of worried. It tanked down here and it went below my average. And I decided to get in 25 more shares here because I was down a bit, I think it was. And let me get this bigger. So I got in for another 25 shares here. So I had 50 and it just did this petering back and forth. And I decided I wanted to keep profit at $37.90. So I decided to get out right here. Actually, I had gotten in a lot lower down here. It went up. I got in more, doubled down on it, had 50. And it started coming down. And I thought, it could just tank and come down right before earnings. So I'm going to go ahead and take it. And I thought I would trade it at earnings. However, if we go to earnings, you're going to see what happened. They beat earnings, by the way, but not by enough. It wasn't like they didn't knock it out of the park. It was just pretty much barely above estimates. And so what happened, it just dumped off. And I never got in over here. You'll see there's no trades here. I just decided to stay away. And again, because I'm in the Roth IRA, I'm being very cautious. If I was in my regular account, I probably would have got in here and I probably would have lost money because it actually came up right here. And that's probably where I would have taken it. So being in the Roth IRA actually saved me money today, I feel. All right, so that's it. I know there's a few of you that trade in your Roth. You've told me. I love it. I want to do it more now that I have cash. I'm glad you guys talk about it a lot. And hope you all did well. Let me know how it went. Let me know if you did earnings. Tesla. I mean, there were so many. Oh, Texas Instruments was great. And I was stuck between that, wanting to trade that one and now. And so I just didn't get in on that one. And I wish I would have. So let me know how you did, you guys.